Okay, so we're going to talk about the August Uniform Sec 5 exams. We're going to explain what the exam is all about and give you tricks and tips to help you succeed.
Okay, now let's start and make sure you require the knowledge that you need to pull off this exam as the second language exam. What will you have to do? You will have to write an opinion piece of about 225 words.
So what's an opinion piece? An opinion piece is a text written for publication in which the writer expresses an informed opinion about an issue.
What is an issue? An issue is a specific topic, a subject, or a point in question.
What is the purpose of an opinion piece? The first purpose is to express an opinion. The second is to convince readers.
In writing an opinion piece, it is not simply to express an opinion, it is also to convince readers to agree with it. You must be persuasive and convincing.
And don't forget that a purpose is why the text is written, the reasons why you are writing this opinion piece.
Now, who will be your audience? In other words, who are you writing for? Who will you be reading your opinion piece? In the Secondary 5 English exam, you must write an opinion piece for online magazine for young adults who have little or no prior knowledge of the subject. I have no idea.
You have no clue.
No clue whatsoever.
Keep your audience in mind when writing. Use vocabulary they will understand. Remember that these young adults are clueless about the issue, so support your opinion with details, examples, and solid evidence.
What issues will you write about in the exam? From one exam to the other, the issues can vary, but you will always have 2 or 3 choices.
For example, write an opinion piece for the magazine on one of the 2 issues below. Should people choose an occupation based on their personal interests? Or should people choose an occupation based on the salary it provides? These are 2 examples of issues you could be asked to write about.
Let's learn now how to write an opinion piece. An opinion piece is divided into 3 parts: an introduction, a development, and a conclusion. Let's break down each part to make sure you understand what is required in each of them. The introduction. We don't want you to write an ordinary introduction. We want you to write an effective introduction. Here is what you need to do.
You need to present the topic or issue, take a firm position, be engaging, be appropriate to the text. Finally, you need to take into account the target audience.
Let's understand what each requirement means. Introduction. Present the topic or the issue. This means that you have to write in your introduction the question you selected from those offered. Now, the 3 choices were: A. Can anyone make it to the Olympics? B. Making it to the Olympics, is it worth all the sacrifices athletes have to make? And C was, should extreme sports be banned from the Olympics? The question here was, making it to the Olympics, is it worth all the sacrifices athletes have to make? Here's an example. Nowadays, sports are becoming very popular, and many people are expecting a lot from athletes. For them, training is a full-time job, and it means to push their limits again and again. But is making it to the Olympics worth all the sacrifices athletes have to make? Well, I don't think so.
As you can see, the question that we chose is B, and we rewrote the question in the introduction.
Exactly.
So that's what you have to do. Take your question and rewrite it in the introduction.
Okay, the introduction, you have to take a firm position. This means that the readers know exactly where you stand on the issue selected. Your opinion must be clear from the start. Example, nowadays, sports are becoming very popular and many people are expecting a lot from athletes. For them, training is a full-time job and it means to push their limits again and again. But is making it to the Olympics worth all the sacrifices athletes have to make? Well, I don't think so.
So as you can see, we took the same example and the words, well, I don't think so, really represents a firm position. The writer's opinion is clear. The sacrifices are simply not worth it.
Again, in the introduction, be engaging. This means your introduction must hook the reader's attention. It must be interesting and make the reader want to know more about the issue. Hook your reader. An example. Nowadays, sports are becoming more popular, and many people are expecting a lot from athletes. For them, training is a full-time job, and it means to push their limits again and again. But is making it to the Olympics worth all the sacrifices athletes have to make? Well, I don't think so.
So the writer lets us know that people expect a lot from athletes and makes us wonder how it affects their lives.
Two powerful techniques to hook the reader. Use a powerful statement. Banning extreme sports could mean the end of the Olympics. Use a description. They glide down a sheet of ice at 130 kilometers per hour. Their faces a few inches from the ice. Be appropriate to the text. What does this mean? It means that you represent the guidelines and the text features of an opinion piece. The guidelines will be written for you in the exam. The magazine guidelines are: your opinion piece must present a firm position, be engaging and convincing, be approximately 225 words in length, be free, of course, from inappropriate language or context, profanity, personal attacks, hate speech. And lastly, be written with the magazine's audience in mind. Always keep the audience in mind. The audience are the people who you are writing to and who will be reading your opinion piece. Examples of audience can be friends, teachers, political leaders, peers, decision makers.
The target audience for the Sec 5 exam you will be taking are readers of an online magazine for young adults who are not familiar with the topic. Remember that you are not writing for your teacher, but for young adults. Therefore, you must develop the issue in accordance.
When writing your introduction, ask yourself, does my introduction clearly present the issue?
Do I state my position in a firm way?
Is my introduction appropriate for the target audience and for an online magazine?
Is my position worded in an engaging way? So that was it for the introduction. We're now starting the development.
In the development, you need to, first of all, explain to your reader why you took this firm position.
Build your case with solid reasoning.
Lay out your ideas and the evidence that support them. Your supporting evidence must be credible.
Give arguments that will convince the reader of the correctness of your opinion. So the development, how will you do this?
Show a strong sense of purpose.
You need to keep the target audience in mind.
And you need to support your position with solid evidence. Okay, show a strong sense of purpose. This means that your reasoning is directly related to the question or issue you selected. Avoid ideas that may be interesting but do not support your position.
Also avoid using ideas that are related to the issue in general, but not directly to your position. For example, the issue is extreme sports definitely belong in the Olympics. A position that would be too general is athletes can choose the sport they want.
Keep the target audience in mind. Now that you know what a target audience is and who you will be writing your opinion piece for, make sure you develop your reasoning in a manner that is appropriate for young adults. They don't know a lot about the issue and probably have a different opinion than you. Therefore, you need to explain your position in detail and give facts, examples, or personal experiences to convince them to think like you.
The third thing you need to do in the development is support your position with solid evidence. How will you do this? You will use factual information. Factual information consists of facts or information that is true. For example, statistics and surveys, credible personal experiences.
What will you do if you have no facts to support your position? There you're going to have to use logic, common sense, and also prior knowledge.
It is possible that you have no knowledge about the subject that you have to talk about. So this is how you will get through the exam and write an opinion piece that is representative of
the factual information that you have to state in your opinion piece naturally. Select pertinent information or ideas that are related to the issue. Remember, do not write in a general manner. Stay focused on the position you choose. Convince your readers that your point of view is valid. Provide strong supporting evidence.
An example of strong supporting evidence. So what we will be doing here will compare strong supporting evidence to a weak supporting evidence. So the topic was making it to the Olympics. Is it worth all the sacrifices athletes have to make? A strong supporting evidence would be, yes, it's worth it. Making sacrifices like spending many hours training day after day is worth it. You get to accomplish your dream and live one of the most exciting experiences. To make it to the Olympics is the recognition of all these efforts, and the memory will stay with you forever. If your position is negative, making sacrifices like training intensively, following strict diets, and not spending much time with friends and family is not worth it. These precious moments of your life will never come back.
Now, we'll go to the weak supporting evidence. Yes, it's worth it. I think Olympic sports are good for young adults because it's good for mental health. Now, a negative position would be, no, it's not worth it. To make it to the Olympics, it is important to pick the sport that is right for you. For example, very short basketball players rarely make the Olympic team.
Another thing you need to do in your development is you can also provide an opposing argument. This is an option for you. You don't have to include an opposing argument. It's only a strategy to be more convincing.
And now the conclusion. Now the time has come for you to conclude. You have to give an effective conclusion. How do you do this? Link directly to the question selected. Linked to the position you chose.
In a 225-word article, the conclusion may consist of only 2 or 3 sentences.
The goal is obviously to bring the article to a close, but more specifically, it is to leave the reader with a lasting impression, with food for thought.
To write an effective conclusion, a lot of techniques are out there for you to use. So here are 5 techniques that we have chosen for you. The first one would be drawing a conclusion, your final thoughts. For example, unless we want the Olympics to cater only to a certain segment of the population and dwindle in popularity, I believe the choice is clear.
Secondly, opening up the debate to a wider context, angle, or perspective. Example, if we banned extreme sports from the Olympics, what will we ban next?
A third technique that you could use would be ending with a warning. For example, if extreme sports are banned from the Olympics, we may see a sharp decline in the popularity of this international competition.
Fourthly, ending with a recommendation. An example, decision makers need to weigh the pros and the cons before making a final decision.
The last technique we propose to you would be asking a relevant question. For example, how can this international event renew itself and survive if extreme sports are banned?
3 questions that you should ask yourself when planning a conclusion. The first one would be, what technique will I use in my conclusion? Secondly, is my conclusion linked to the question I selected?
Third, will my conclusion leave an impression on the reader? If you do this, your conclusion will be very effective. Our advice to you, to finish this off.
Yes. Don't present your ideas as facts. Example, extreme sports are the most interesting.
Don't use an argument that does not address the issue.
Don't use words like it depends. This shows that you are uncertain about the question.
And don't go over 225 words, a maximum 275.
Our advice to you, select evidence that supports the question.
Give credible examples.
Use words that denote a clear position. Example, I don't think so. I personally think the answer is no.
Keep your conclusion short, 2 to 3 sentences.
Thank you, and we wish you the very best.